I'm Eric Barnes.
I'm Amy Chu.
And today we're going to show you how to use the Lectra cutter.
The Lectra cutter is a great resource for those students in the College of Textiles who are learning different methods for product development.
And today we're going to cut out a t-shirt that we designed beforehand in a CAD program.
First, lay your fabric flat out on the cutting surface. Make sure there are no ripples or folds throughout the fabric. Then, take the plastic and cover the fabric. The plastic will help keep your fabric in place during the cutting process.
To turn on the cutter, first turn the black knob, then the blue knob, followed by the red knob, and finally the green knob. Once you have turned on the cutter, open the computer software to run the cutter. Begin by logging in using a username and password provided, and then click the Spread Initial function. This will open a menu where you'll select the marker. We've prepared one beforehand called AL Curve T. Then select Preferences below. We're doing half vac because we're only doing one layer of fabric. This will bring up the cutting menu, and it will begin interaction with the cutter. The cutter will initially restart to 0 automatically.
As the cutter is restarting to its initial starting point, the vacuum will then begin at half vac as selected in this example. The purpose of the vacuum is to suck the sheet or sheets of fabric and plastic to the cutting surface, minimizing fabric movement and allowing for a stable cut. The cutter is able to work with multiple plies at once and various types of fabric.
When the cutter has reached its starting location, it will ask for input from the user, such as the direction of the fabric and the number of plies. The next step is to set the cutter to the location of your fabric's starting position, which can be slightly different than the starting position that the cutter chooses initially. Once you've found a spot, you can press the green check mark on the cutter. It will then go to the X max position, and if you are okay with that position, you can again hit the green check mark. It will then go to Y max, which is at the opposite end of the fabric, and if you are okay with that position, you again press the green check mark. After you OK all of these locations, the cutter will draw a square around the area you've selected. If that area is alright, you can begin cutting. While the cutter is cutting, you can see on the screen that the pieces that are being cut are highlighted. Once those pieces are finished, the color on the screen will change colors. While the cutter is in motion, it is important not to obstruct the bar that travels across the table surface. The blue objects you see in this picture are bumpers that will activate the cutter's safety mechanism if anything obstructs its movement.
The cutter is automated so that the fabric is cut based on the dimensions and shapes created in a marker-making software.
Once the cutter has filled the previously selected area with cut pieces, it will advance the fabric automatically using the conveyor belt built into the table surface. It will then continue to cut more pieces until all pieces are finished. Once the cutter has finished cutting, it will automatically stop in an advanced position. You will then have more options, including to cut off the rest of the fabric and to turn off the vacuum sealing the fabric to the conveyor belt. Here we are positioning the head of the cutter to do a transverse cut, meaning that we will cut straight across the table so that we can remove the fabric more easily.
After the transverse cut is completed, The fabric is slid down to the end of the cutter machine via the conveyor belt by pressing the center and left arrow buttons simultaneously on the button display of the cutting bar. Moving the fabric to the end of the machine allows the user easier access to the cut fabric. The plastic is rolled back up after the cutting process is finished to allow a clean workspace for the next user who is using the machine. The last step is to gather the finished cut pieces from the fabric.
To turn off the cutter, begin with the green knob, then the red knob, then the blue knob, and finally turn off the cutter using the black knob.